To the Birdhouse Dynasty show where we're going live with some in-draft analysis of our 53-man dynasty franchise mode, best ball, 12-team, IDP, Superflex, everything you want included in this monster draft. So let me get this screen up here for you and we will get into this. Right now, we are in round. Let me bring it down for you guys out there in YouTube land. We are in the 27th round. We are almost halfway through. We will be halfway through at pick 2706. Now, if you take a look at my roster, it is on me. 10 minutes into my pick, we look at the Birdman's roster. There's Devin Singletary, my stud running back. Okay, so we're pretty much set on offense with we've got wide receivers through the flex plus 3 or 4. What do we got here? Plus Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed, Javon Baker. All right. We are looking strong at quarterback with 4 QBs, Geno Smith and Russell Wilson, behind Will Levis and Trevor Lawrence. Running backs, I'm 5 deep at this point. So we got 3 tight ends in Evan Ingram, Taysom Hill, and Tyler Conklin. I am looking at going IDP. And right now, I like Harold Landry from Tennessee. Nice young player, 28 years old. He is, again, with the Titans, stalwart on their defense. Again, I like the pass rushing aspect in this draft. 10 points for each sack. And Landry is definitely one of the main sack artists for the Titans. Again, I do have Will Levis, so I like the idea of stacking up your quarterback with your top sack artists. That way, if your quarterback is having a big game and you build a lead, then the edge rushers get a chance to go after those sacks. So that would help you pump up a nice big week in this format. Again, this is a 53-man roster, IDP, start 11 wide receivers, start 11 defensive players, best ball. And we do have the kickers thrown in there. We did have 2 kickers taken so far by Frosties there. He's grabbed Evan McPherson of his beloved Cincinnati Bengals and Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens, his hated rival. And so right now we are at Foss Boss. I'm going to send him a little message letting him know it's time to make his pick and see who he decides to go with. Everybody out there in this awesome formatted draft, come on in and join. Say something in the chat. We like to have you. Let me know what you're thinking of your team, my team, anybody else's team. I'm not holding anything back here. So why don't we go back and take a look at, since Foss Boss is on the clock, I don't mind taking a look at his squad. All right. Let's see. Bring it up here. Let's go this route. Could go see Foss Boss's squad here. Slide on up right here. And how do I go down within this? Well, I don't know. how I'm going to see Boss's roster. That's unfortunate. I can see 6 guys' rosters. Let's go to Fantasy Reaper. All right. So the Fantasy Reaper has Josh Allen at quarterback, Jared Goff behind him. He's full up at his offensive positions. He loaded up at running back. He's got Brees Hall, Rashad White, Romandre fresh off his new contract, Derrick Henry with the new contract with the Ravens. And then Jerry Jeudy is listed up in there. He also has let's see, he just added Noah Fant. I really wanted Fant this round to stack up with Geno Smith, but uh, wasn't shocked when the Reaper went ahead and nabbed him. He's got Noah Fant behind Jatavian Sanders as well as Dallas Goedert. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, he's looking at Justin Madubuike from the Ravens, Chris Jones, a stud with the Chiefs, Bobby Okereke from the Giants, CJ Mosley, and Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. Nice, solid linebacker core there. Brian Branch, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Kevin Byard in his defensive backfield. This format of having to start 11 IDPs has just made it crazy in the aspect of having to develop a defense, like an actual defense. We are not doing 3 IDPs or 1 IDP or 2. We are doing 11 IDPs. You actually have to build up a defense in this format. And let me tell you, it is just mind boggling because there's no keep trade cut values on defensive players. There sure is charts out there you can find with some other uh, what you can find charts out there with different rankings, dynasty rankings, even of IDP players. There's a lot of different things out there, but not too much as far as like a trade evaluation calculator is concerned. I mean, they're out there, but it takes some searching. And so mostly at that point, there's names out there for sure still as you get down the board here. Of course, some of the older guys are obviously available, but even those guys are drying up at this point. So now it actually takes some research, real research, I'm telling you, because we're talking, 11 IDPs each week. I'm at least getting a backup for each of those guys. We're talking having to have at least 20, 22 defensive players on your roster, maybe more. So, I mean, if you take 20 times 12, that's 240 at least IDPs you're talking. Now, um, Blankenship, the defensive back from the Eagles, just went. And next up, we've got Brandon going here. Brandon has loaded up on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if I can bring his squad up. No, this is really unfortunate. It's not letting me do this. I know what I can do. I can do it this way so you all can see what Brandon's roster looks like. It's pretty insane. He's loaded up on defense. There we go. All right. He just grabbed um, Luke Van Ness of the Packers, their young defensive lineman. Here we go. Okay. He's got Jair Alexander, Gardner Johnson from the Eagles, Kool-Aid McKinstry, their new rookie in New Orleans. And then as you go back up the board, there's Chase Young, who's just signed with the Saints. Cooper DeJean, another defensive back with the Eagles, the shiny rookie. Jalen Carter of the Eagles. We've got Quay Walker with the Packers. Jesse Bates, nice defensive back with Atlanta. He's got Will Anderson, second year defensive end with the Texans, Nick Bosa, and Micah Parsons. So Brandon has gone the route of loading up on the defensive side. Interesting strategy in this format. We're going to see how it plays out for him. What I think is going to be most interesting here is just how we end up valuating these defensive players in trades going forward. I think that what may happen is that a lot of these defensive players probably got underdrafted. I mean, the top defensive scorer last season in this format was TJ Watt, and he was the fifth highest scorer in the league. And at 29 years old, wasn't taken until the end, near the end of the second round in this format. Then we had Micah Parsons go as the second defensive player taken. He wasn't taken until the end of the fourth round. All right. Now, when you really look at it, like Micah Parsons, I mean, dude's going to score over 400 points for the next couple of seasons. Like, how do you not value somebody like him near what CeeDee Lamb is valued at? So, I mean, the guy like Micah Parsons, I don't know. It would be hard pressed to just give up to be taking just two firsts for somebody like Parsons. I'd want like three firsts. But anyway, I don't think Brandon's looking to trade him right very soon. So I'm gonna let Brandon know he's on the clock, see if he gets out here and jumps in the room while we're talking here. Now, Rico Dowdle just went to Foss Boss. Rico is going to be, of course, Zeke's backup down in Dallas. I grabbed Zeke earlier in the let me go back through a couple of these picks of mine. Zeke I grabbed in round 16. I grabbed Connor in the 15th round. Like, you can see some of the offensive player value that fell in this format. Now, did it really fall, or were we just underdrafting these defensive players? Like, Zeke's generally been going in, or say around 13, 14 in startups without IDP. So, I mean, did I overdraft Zeke? I don't know. In this format, I'm looking at it like 53 guys. Sure, that's a lot, but that doesn't mean I want 15 running backs on my roster. I mean, this is best ball. I don't want all those zeros. You know what I mean? So I just want running backs that are going to actually be scoring points. So you can see here my running backs, I waited on them, but I was able to grab decent ones here. If we move it down just a hair, there we go. Up at the top, we got Tony Pollard. Next round, Devin Singletary. Waited around. I grabbed Russell Wilson in between just because he was still sitting there and there was only a couple starters left at quarterback. And then I followed it back up with James Conner and Zeke. So right in this range here, I love what veteran value I was able to acquire with these picks in this tier. If I was to draft rookies in this area, I would have been looking at the likes of let me see one. Um, like Quorum, I could have grabbed instead of Devin Singletary. Yes, Quorum has some, there's some excitement with Quorum for sure, but Devin Singletary is no doubt the guy in New York to start with, at least. I know there's a lot of hype on Tyron Tracy, but I mean, let's face it, the dude was playing wide receiver for 3 years in college. I don't know that he's ever going to become more than what, say, Antonio Gibson was. Okay. And I don't mean the Antonio Gibson that blew up his first couple of seasons in the NFL. I mean more like the Antonio Gibson of the last couple of seasons in the NFL. So That said, I do like the prospects for Devin Singletary's volume going into this season. Um, Tony Pollard, I'm not totally over head over heels on, but I do have Will Levis, so I like to stack that up. I mean, will Tajay Spears outscore him this season? We'll see. I don't know personally. I think that the Titans will probably keep Tajay in a similar role to last season, and Tony Pollard will kind of take over Derrick Henry's volume. Not as much. Not I shouldn't have said volume, but more so his role in the offense as the first and second down back. And but that said, with the new look offense that they're going to have, I do expect the Titans to run more plays, therefore giving more overall rushing attempts as a whole between Pollard and Spears to split. So it's an exciting backfield I like to get a piece of. Um, Also because of the fact that one of them might get hurt at some point during the season, and if one of them's out for 2 to 3 weeks, well, you can get a nice spike in volume for either of them. All right, they're both going around the same time in drafts. Some I've seen Pollard go first, some I've seen Spears go first. I mean, if it, all things equal, I would prefer Spears if I get him later. If Pollard I'm getting later, though, that's okay. Um, So then I grabbed Jaleel McLaughlin down here, some good training camp hype off of him. I like this guy going back to last season, so it's not really the training camp hype that's sold me on McLaughlin. This dude's in the building by 5 a.m. every day. I can just see the mentality of the huddle when McLaughlin is there and he's looking around like, man, this is my team, you know? And he's just chomping at the bit for every opportunity he gets. So would not shock me if McLaughlin does blow up this season. Now, blow up in sense of uh, top 5 or 10 fantasy season. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But could he finish top 20? Yeah, it would probably take a Javante Williams injury for that to occur. But and I don't expect him to be the bell cow by any stretch, but the guy could fulfill sort of the Alvin Kamara role in that Sean Payton offense where he does get a ton of receptions out of the backfield. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for with that pick. After that, I went ahead and grabbed my second tight end and Taysom Hill, just looking for points there. He's obviously extremely old, but when you go old at running back like I did, this old, I'm kind of in a win now mentality. Running backs, just in general, I really just play year to year because of the injuries involved with that position. You know, in a startup, I don't like to use an early pick on a running back. I mean, I can tell you for sure the earliest I've taken a running back in the startup this offseason was Devon A-Chain. Got him in the fifth round of one startup, and he's really the only guy I think I would take early on because of his high upside. Now let's do Matt's team here. He has traded all over the board this draft. Very fun draft trade wise. We have been seeing all sorts of deals made. Um, see here. I just want to check the stream if anybody's chimed in yet. No. Okay. So back to Matt's team. He, of course, started off in the first round with Marvin Harrison and grabbed the stack right after that with Kyler. He moved down and was able to grab some nice young receivers to fit in with Marvin Harrison, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, JSN. Then he grabbed a couple rookies and Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Legette. So he's definitely building for the future with this roster. None of his, I mean, he got Jonathan Brooks, Trey Brunson. None of his players so far. I mean, who's his oldest guy here? Malachi Corley, uh, Justin Petrie. I couldn't tell you who his oldest guy is on this roster. Like he's just grabbed Byron Murphy last round, then rookie Theo Johnson. He's got Ben Sinnott. Um, and he's just going that route, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he is going to explode at some point with some of these players' values. So I don't know how early he can actually compete with this build, but I'm telling you, he's going to have a lot of young dudes that do pan out for him. Okay, so we did have a couple of picks here. Brejack right here we see took kicker Brandon Aubrey of the Cowboys. Then we had the other early Philly corner, Quinion Mitchell, the rookie, taken. So good hype on the Philly defensive backs here. We had Mitchell, Blankenship, and Cooper DeJean go earlier. Now we are back to me. And so I am going to, with this pick, hmm. Now I was studying them earlier, and boy, you know what? I am just gonna grab my guy. You know, I grabbed Khalil Mack earlier, so I might as well just follow this build all the way down. I don't know how many years Levante's got in him, but the guy should be a Hall of Famer to me. Definitely a Bucks Hall of Famer, no doubt. And he somehow even outlasted Devin White, who I took a chance on Devin White a couple of rounds ago. Still have a little soft spot for Devin in his performance in that playoff run when the Bucks were able to win the Super Bowl with Brady. Um, Devin was a complete stud. Now I grab the guy who outlasted him in Levante David and is still the definite heart of that defense. You can say with Antoine Winfield, sorry, there that he's the leader, but I know that Levante David is the true leader in the clubhouse there for the defense, and he's still going to rack up a ton of tackles for the Bucks this year. Now we're at the DeLorean, and why don't we take a look at his squad? So last round he went Chris Harris, the linebacker for the Texans. Eric All before that, the rookie tight end of the Bengals. Before that, Chop Robinson, the new sack artist for the Dolphins. For that, Isaiah Simmons, defensive back / linebacker, now with the Giants. For that, he went on a little running back run. Damian Pierce, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, grabbed a couple backs in the Chargers backfield there. McDuffie, the defensive back for the Chiefs. He grabbed Eckler and Sam Darnold. His top guys. Let me get back up here. Sorry about that. Lost the board on you guys. Okay. Go back up to the top for the DeLorean. We're looking at Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels as the main parts of his franchise. We've got that followed up by Malik Neighbors and Devon Achane. Then Max Crosby as the heart and soul of his team. Those 5 guys I look at as something you can definitely build around. Nice start there for the DeLorean. Then he grabbed 2 young wide receivers after that, while DJ Moore is sort of right in his prime, I should say. Then Xavier Worthy, the rookie for the Chiefs. Then Brock Bowers, tight end for the Raiders. And Derwin James. Then went Michael Penix I don't love Penix. I don't mind where he grabbed him though. Okay, but to me, Penix is not somebody I want on my best ball rosters just because I try to avoid as many zeros as possible. So Penix isn't really somebody I'd be targeting unless it was super late and he fell like 2, 3 rounds past his ADP. Um, but I digress with Penix. Then he grabbed Ernie Jones, the linebacker for the Rams, Christian Watson, JMO, and Chase Brown. So I like the youth movement the DeLorean's got going on there. And we'll see which route he decides to go with his next pick. He is in the draft room. Let's see what the DeLorean decides on. And we are having a good time here. Anybody else in the draft room? No, not right now. All right. I just hope it gets back around to me. I don't think it will actually. Mojo is up. I know he went to bed already. He's up at the 28:05. We might get through some of these guys right here, but we'll hang tight here to get the DeLorean's pick live for you. Any questions on the format? Just throw it down there. I know it's a little, well, a lot different than any of the other drafts. There it is. Went ahead and took Bishop, the defensive back for the Bills. What's funny is much like the rest of you, I just play leagues that are offensive players. So some of these guys, I totally recognize this guy, but don't even know his first name. That's unfortunate. But I'm gonna view his profile. There it is. Cole Bishop. Should have known. Nice new rookie for the Bills. He was drafted in the second round, and the Bills had some turnover in their defensive backfield. I was looking at their defensive backfield earlier, and Micah Hyde's gone, Jordan Pryor's gone, so it's kind of an open room back there in their defensive backfield, and they've always been able to produce some decent playmakers. Like I said, Micah Hyde was there, and he was always a good playmaker for the Bills, for the Packers prior to that, and so we shall see if Cole Bishop is able to follow in those footsteps. Like I said, a lot of these players on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to look back on this draft as just way underdrafted. And especially when we take into account some of these rookies, right? These are rookie defensive players. You have no idea like where to. I took Jared Verse a few rounds ago. I mean, the dude was what, the 15th or 16th player taken. I mean, he was brought in basically to try and replace Aaron Donald. So of course he's going to be playing right off the rip. I watched a lot of his games at Florida State and thought the guy was just a game wrecker. I mean, he was a wrecking ball and causing havoc every single game that I watched of him. So I'm pretty excited to have him on my roster. I got to admit, he was taken. Jared Verse. He 19th overall. That was Jared Verse. So love the pick there that I was able to get that value. The 19th player overall, just think about that for a second. Like I got him in the, what round was it? Right there, the 20th round. Like the offensive rookies taken around that. Like I got him after Roman Wilson went. Okay. So if Jared Verse pans out, like that is just going to be an absolute steal. That's all I can say. All right. Um, as will some of these other defensive player like this, especially these rookies. Like I'm not the only one noticing that. It's obvious some of these other dudes are seeing that opportunity and taking advantage of it. I mean, there's a reason that I waited on defensive players because I thought this would kind of happen, and so now I'm trying to just jump on the talent that's out there because the thing is, when you look at it, we're starting 11 offensive and 11 defensive players, but on a regular, real team in the NFL, there's 5 offensive linemen on the field. So we're only drawing from 4 positions on offense, but on defense, we're using all 11 guys that are on the field. All 11 guys that are on the field on defense can score points, right? So even the even the garbage, interior defensive linemen are scoring a few points here and there, but when you're talking edge rushers and middle linebackers and then safeties and corners that get tackled and rack them up, and then you throw into the mix, they get 10 points when a sack or an interception happens. Like there's a lot of exciting things that can happen in this league, in this format with the defensive players. So I'm really excited to see how this league turns out. I have no idea if I'm drafting like a complete idiot or if it's gonna work. I don't know. I'm just excited to see how this one works out. Well, I don't know if Chris is going to pick here, but I just want to say I really love this format. If any of you have any questions about it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. But please, if you have any questions about this format or interested in doing another one of these type leagues, I don't even know if I should just call this dynasty. This is almost franchise mode, right? So maybe it'll be the new thing soon. I know that IDP is definitely picking up around the nation, and I am very excited for it. So let me know your thoughts down in the chat. And with that, I just want to remind you we are brought to you today by Choice Sports Cards, your number one choice for buying and selling sports cards out there over on Whatnot. Kyle and the boys just tearing things up. So check them out if you want to scoop up some new shiny sports cards. All right. And with that, I'm going to thank you all for joining. Please check back. We are going to continue along with this draft. We are merely halfway through 53-man Dynasty Best Ball IDP Superflex startup. Check back into the Birdhouse later this week. We'll let you know where we're at. And with that, never stop working.